there is the impasse of the lost countries, conflict between Buganda and Bunyoro. This was not a making of UPC, nor was it necessarily even a making of Sir Edward in a way, because he was a young king. These are historical things. Then, of course, DP had his own issues in Buganda. DP, as a political party founded around Catholic values, shall discuss around that time, had his own traditional historical conflict with Mengo, the Protestant governing establishment, ruling establishment of the kingdom. Now, but all these forces were in agreement that we need independence in a way, except for the record, Mengo was quite uncomfortable with independence because Mengo wanted possibly a federal East Africa in which Uganda retained its full autonomy. But then we had the Republic of Uganda, and those are the contradictions. Anyway, at the independence discussions, these guys agreed that one, we have fresh elections before independence. Two, the question of lost countries should be subject to a referendum within 2 years after elections, and then plus a number of others. Then when we agreed on the 9th of October 1961, independence was agreed 1 year later with elections in 1962. Whoever wins that election forms the government. UPC won those elections. So the April 1962 elections, UPC wins it, DP comes second. KY had not been formed by Lancaster House. It did not exist as a political party, but Buganda Voice existed. So they decided to form KY to participate in the election. That's another important thing. So in Lancaster House, there would not have been any discussion between Obote and Sir Edward. And I want to say for the record, these are fantastic friends, but there was no political discussion about alliances up to that stage. Once elections takes place, UPC wins, DP follows, KY third. UPC wins, but not enough to form a majority on its own. However, the Constitution provided that the largest political party had the right to nominate 9 seats, nominated seats in Parliament. So with our 37, I think, which UPC had won, if you add 9 nominated seats, because we are the largest party, because you can form a minority government if you want, it gave us a simple majority, meaning UPC, simple majority of 3. Now for a parliament of 80, that is actually not bad, you know, because you can govern that, because the minority parties, you can govern on issue by issue basis. You see this happen around the world. Now, because that gave UPC a majority of 3, and regardless of that, according to what Obote told me, even if we had actually won with a bigger majority, UPC, in his cleverness, and Milton Obote, in his cleverness, they decided that we are now a new independent nation. We want to start on an important foundation of consensus. So it is UPC's central executive that authorized Obote to go to DP and KY and say, let's form a government of national unity. Now, Beatrice, I hope your viewers know, governments of national unity normally is formed during crisis, but most importantly, its object is that you form a government in which all parties sit together. So you govern, you share the cake, basically. You share the cake, share the cabinet positions, share the sweetness of power, but also you check one another on consensus, but most importantly, when there is a difficult issue, you all agree, look guys, there's a flood, what do we do? In cabinet, all parties are talking about it, you know, whatever. There is Kisenyi, Katezi, you know, the thing. Do we blame the others or whatever? What should we have? We put monies down there. There's a classified budget. Should we kill it? Let's kill it so that we actually build the boar rather than doing pinate on it. So government by consensus. Uganda People's Congress, my party, very proud, chose in 1962 that let's do that. So Obote as president went to approach Sir Edward and Ben Chiwanuka. Do you know what Obote did? That's a lesson for guys in protocol and decency. He went to Ben Chiwanuka first. Do you know why? I'll tell you. He went to Ben Chiwanuka because UPC leaders were clever and decent enough, young guys, to know that because Ben Chiwanuka's party came second, in terms of priority, let's go to Ben Chiwanuka first. These are some simple things that mean a lot, and it really gives me respect for my elders and leaders. So Obote went to Ben Chiwanuka first. Ben Chiwanuka did not give Obote a reply. Said he would think about it. After that, Obote went to his friend, Sir Edward. Granted, they had money, went to Sir Edward. Sir Edward readily accepted. That's important credit to Buganda Kingdom and to Sir Edward Mutesa. Now, as independence was approaching, Ben Chiwanuka was not responding. So one time they met in the parliamentary lobby, the same parliament we still have today, according to what on record, Ben Chiwanuka said, I'm not interested. So if there are particular people, particularly DP associated with Ben Chiwanuka, and particularly DP Buganda, get this on the record. It's shame on you, because it should be shame on them who want to throw these things. Oh, UPC, not true. Number two, some of them, of course, these days, people want to pretend they love their king. No. Some of us love that king more than some of you guys, regardless of the detail. But we're not going there. The most important thing is this, that when Ben Chiwanuka said he was not interested, Obote went back to Sir Edward, and they agreed to form a coalition government. Coalition is two parties, national unity, all parties. Basically, that's how the coalition government came. So the coalition government did not come because we did not have a number to work to form a government. It came because we loved this country more than we loved power and or ourselves. And we formed the coalition government because the coalition government, even a coalition, is still be better than a nation, better than nothing, better than winner takes it all. You work together in consensus. Now, because it didn't work, partly because of 1964 and others, does not mean that we don't give credit to the founding leaders, and does not mean, therefore, we do not tell the truth about it.
As we get to take a break, there's something we want to understand from you. When you look at the first Obote regime from 1966 to 1971, that it came to an end. Now, the second Obote comes back in 1980. That is about a period of about 9 years.
9 years, yes.
What happened in between?
I also want to correct you once again. The Obote One government was actually from 1962 we claim credit for it because we were in a coalition, but we're a majority coalition, a majority partners in that coalition. So we predominantly ran Obote One from 1962 to 71. We take responsibility for everything that happened there, MS plus. So, so that's one. Number two, what happened, of course, in 1971, there was a coup by Idi Amin. A coup that was supported by certain people on the record. There are forces in Uganda that wanted the government overthrown. Some of our friends in Mengo wanted the government overthrown as early as 1965. Part of the reason why 1966 happened, another story that people don't want to tell, that indeed Mengo wanted a bit of a shortcut. The idea of 1966 that Mengo Lubiri was attacked. It was not attacked, there was a response. Security forces eventually went to Mengo, that's true. And of course, it led to deaths and the Kabaka, leaving and things like very unfortunate stuff. But the government did not plan that in 3 days' time we shall go and attack those guys and kill. It was not that. No, it's a conflict between central government and Buganda Kingdom. Conflict between the president, who was Mutesa, titular president, who was made president with our backing and support and directive was UPC, Sir Edward, and executive prime minister. So the government of 1962 was led by an executive prime minister, like today's British prime minister. That was the power that they had, and so that is that. So 1971, thanks to Britain and Israel and America, jealous about our independence struggles, they saw that from 1962, between 1962, June, Beatrice, by 1965, 3 years, Uganda's economy in the hands of indigenous Africans had moved from 12% at independence, 9th October 1962. Only 12% of this national economy was in the hands of the Africans. But just get me. Only 12%. But by independence in 1965, within 3 years, we had filled that gap to 35%. I don't have the figures of 1967 to thereabout. You see? So that's the radical thing that was happening. So what has happened? We had expanded the economy, given the monies and the wealth and the control of the country to the people, citizens of this country, checked foreign companies that were exploiting Ugandans, built hospitals and schools across the country, opened up road networks, including transportation, including railways, pulled the railway line from Soroti to Lira to Gulu to Pakwach, including building Pakwach Bridge, meaning the harm of your ancestors, I'm told, you're from West Nile. West Nile people would come in canoe. That raised bridge built by UPC within 5 years of our independence. That is the glory that we did. And this nation state was threatening to be the new Singapore and the new Malaysia. And partly also because of that, in terms of our foreign policy, important, we had started supporting the Lumumbist forces in Congo, who had been killed by the Belgians and the CIA guys. And we're saying that, no, we need to support their liberation. And we're supporting the liberation struggle in South Africa. Obote was the official spokesperson for the anti-apartheid campaign to liberate Southern Africa. The enemies of Africa mobilized. Israeli intelligence approached Idi Amin and persuaded him to overthrow the government. So Amin did not wake up because he wanted to overthrow the government. Amin was to be arrested by Obote, partly for the alleged killing of Brigadier Koya, and two, for the gold scandal thing in Congo. And I'll say the gold scandal things very quickly because of the time. Obote had sent Idi Amin as Deputy Army Commander to be in charge of overseeing the support of the Lumumbist forces. At that level, Amin being of West Nile extraction, proximity to the border with Congo, easy. Number two, Deputy Army Commander. At that level, you don't give that assignment to a junior officer because of intelligence, information, or whatever. So Amin went to Congo on an operation directed by Milton Obote. Then he gets involved in gold scandal. Then the thing comes out. Parliament investigates, finds Amin guilty. Of course, the opposition tried to attach Milton Obote to it, but they couldn't find him. So for those two reasons, Amin was supposed to be arrested. So the Israeli guys told him that, look, Obote, when he comes from Singapore, is coming to arrest you. But we can help you deal with him before he deals with you. That is the Amin coup. Amin coup was supported by particular people. Here you hear stories about these ministers who were arrested and detained, that is true. Those guys were involved. The DP leader, Obote's assassination attempts in 1969, that is also true. Try it on Museveni and you guys see. Try it today. No, guys, try it. Museveni is not as legitimate as Milton Obote was at the time. But try it on Museveni today and you'll see. So young Ugandans, certain individuals betrayed your foundations of your future. You need to mobilize this truth. Come together. Reconcile, heal. Sometimes put up your hands, say, my parents got it wrong. Put up your hands, say, maybe I got it wrong. But what do we do in order to build a foundation for the future of Uganda? And that really, really is what happened. Now, of course, Amin rules for 9 years, makes a silly mistake, invades Tanzania in 1978, and Julius Nyerere, who had refused to recognize him as Obote's friend, demobilized with the Ugandan forces. I'm cutting it short for you. The push, make a pushback in Uganda, overthrow Amin in April 1979. This is important. Before the overthrow, there had been a Moshi Unity Conference of Ugandan exiles in Tanzania. In that Moshi Unity Conference, that brought together all Ugandans opposed to Amin, saying that, look, when we take over Kampala, we shall have fresh elections in no less than 18 months. Museveni was not keen on that. So 18 months, Obote came back in May 1980, was not part of the Museveni mess in the streets of Kampala. For the previous years, Museveni was the defense minister. This no Lule, no work thing here. It was the work of Museveni and his people, not Obote. 1980, elections are held. UPC wins it convincingly, and the rest is history.
In your understanding, what could have led to the smooth winning of UPC's second term?
It was in part because UPC's first government had delivered miraculously for this country. Had delivered education, had delivered healthcare, built health centers in every sub-country that existed at the time, built secondary schools. For you, beautiful girls, built girls' child schools like nothing from Berenyange. Berenyange was expanded, Wanyange, Toro girls in Nabisunsa here, opened up industries, free education, easy access to jobs across the country. So UPC was a miraculously loved political party across the country, except in Uganda, where, of course, it had grievances following the 1966 crisis incidents, and particularly in 1969, when the king dies in exile in Britain. And unfortunately, for 1969, the propaganda machinery, Jesus is watching, they decided that the Kabaka was poisoned by Masubi Obote. Of course, not true. The Kabaka was not poisoned by anybody. Kabaka died from alcoholic poisoning. Alcoholic poisoning does not mean there's poison in alcohol. It is, you can explain it like that. And we need to put it for the record. That's what happened. But it was a king, and Sir Edward is a family. I am a friend to Sir Edward's family. And many members of Sir Edward's family want to put this thing to rest. That is basically what happened. But of course, people who feel that, maybe if the Kabaka did not go to exile, would not have died. That's a fair enough observation. So there is a reasonable grounds for a section of Buganda to be resentful about Obote and UPC. But it must be on contextual truth and facts.
And in our next episode, we want to pick it right up from there. And we find out, after UPC coming back into the second term, what happened? What did they do? Who took over UPC after the second UPC in power? When we come back, we get to look into that. Stay here.